Hello everybody, Dark Phoenix Gaming here, and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich. Now, this is the version of Kaiserreich for the Ironclad update that came with the Man the Guns expansion, but I need to make this clear right off the get-go. I'm not using Man the Guns. I don't own the DLC currently. So this is just with the things that come with the free update. Or what's added by the mod. Also, in addition to Kaiserreich, I am using a couple of very small mods in addition. I have the Colored Buttons and Colored Puppets mods, as well as the Kaiserreich Music mod. Which, the music mod may result in the VODs being muted on Twitch, so if you want to watch the VODs after the fact, your best bet is my YouTube channel at youtube.com/darkphoenixgaming. So, you can also find a link to that down in the doobly-doo below. God damn it, Matt Wilkins has infected me now. No, not Matt Wilkins, Matt Colville has infected me now. I didn't used to use words like doobly-doo, then I started watching his D&D guide videos. Anyways, let's get started. This series is going to be, as the title should be quite reliably informing you, I'm going to be playing as Russia. I'm going to also make an effort to read all of the text, except for the placeholder filler events, or when we get to events that are repeating themselves in the later stages of the game, but early on, I'm going to make an effort to read everything. Just because I know, just thanks to the fact that I can't stream at any higher resolution than what I'm doing currently, it's a little bit difficult to see some of the text, which can be kind of important in this mod, so I will read it all out. Starting with the brief history for the Russian Republic. So, here goes. During Russia's Civil War, the White forces fought with all they had, but the Red Army still dominated the country's industrial heartland. The German Empire, however, fearing a Red Russia, decided to intervene on behalf of the Whites. I just gotta stop here and say for a second that it's rather ironic, the idea of Germany fearing a Red Russia, even though it does make sense. It's rather ironic, seeing as the German Empire actually were the ones who shipped Lenin back to Russia to start the revolution, so the Russians would agree to peace and get themselves out of the war. Seeing as Germany was indirectly responsible for the Russian Revolution, it's a little bit ironic, that statement, even though it is both true and logical. Anyways, back to the history. 2 years later, Moscow and Petrograd fell to the White forces, and a new Russian Republic was established. For the past 15 years, the leading parties, SR and Cadets, have governed in an uneasy coalition under Kerensky. But Russia is becoming increasingly unstable. Other political forces are growing. They are considering that it is now time for change, so that the country may reassert her power in the world. Oh haha, Grammar Cracker. Also, hello and welcome to the stream. So, I'm not going to be playing on Iron Man. I don't intend on reloading, but I may have to repeat sections because of technical difficulties and such. This is a mod after all. Things could go wrong, so I tend to avoid that. Okay, loading stuff. Let's get into Kaiserreich now. The mod that I have spent more hours on in any Hearts of Iron game than any other. And we're going to ignore the credits. I will just skip those. Yes, the AI can change the color of their puppets. I'm fine with that. Now I'm going to save the game. Prussia 1. I'll pick a boring name like that. Now we have to go into our equipment production and change it up. Interwar light ship hull. We're producing an outdated one. Grammar Cracker, thank you for following. If you ever... Thank you for following, and you can usually find my streams on Saturdays and Sundays this time, if you ever want to catch me in the future. And I put the VODs up on my YouTube channel on the week after usually, so check the doobly-doo below for that. Let's see, Interwar light ship hull. Light ship hull. Where the bloody hell's the light ship hull? We'll just pick one of them, I guess. There we go. And all our factories and stuff are assigned. Time to pick my research. So, as usual... I will start over here in engineering and industry for my research, seeing as we only have 2 slots. We'll pick up electronic mechanical engineering, basic machine tools, and construction 1. We can move on to other stuff at a later date. We have lots of unassigned decisions. I'm going to ignore the decision to change the color of the Alash autonomy. The Alash autonomy down here, they are currently our puppet. But it's not going to stay that way for very long. I won't go into the details too much because I want to avoid spoilers, but once things start going wrong in Russia, the Alash autonomy will look at that and go, yeah, Russia's really weak. We don't want them as our overlord anymore. Declare independence, bitches. And they will break away, meaning we'll have to reconquer them later. Oh, hey, modern savagery. The goal, and I was just getting into that, the goal in this playthrough is actually to recreate the Soviet Union, and beyond that, if possible, we would like to retake all of the historical territories that were held by the Russian Empire. Because Russia starts out in this game, they're a bit of a mess, honestly. We have a terrible army and navy that are so backwards it isn't even funny. We're using technology and doctrines and tactics and things from the First World War. We have virtually no manpower. We have only 15% national stability. The number of factories we have, right here at 46. Our number of factories, we're on par with somewhere like fucking Brazil in the vanilla game, essentially. Okay, probably not that bad, but Russia is in a pretty bad place. And Germany, I think they have about double that in terms of their industry, so going to take a bit to get things going again. And I have done monarchist runs in the past for restoring Russia, but just in general, the reason for restore the Soviet Union as my goal is just that that's the easiest and most efficient way to get Russia going again. Even though playing as Soviet Russia is no longer as overpowered as it once was, it's still the most optimal way to do things. Because And I can still remember this because I played the Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich mod back when it was in its first release. Literally, minutes after it came out, I was playing the mod. Pretty much. And I remember back then, when you were playing as Soviet Russia, there were so many buffs and bonuses back in those days you could get through the Soviet focus tree that you could literally have about 20 million manpower while still being on volunteer-only conscription laws. You can't get quite that insane anymore, but being Soviet Russia is still a lot more powerful than being monarchist Russia, just because of all the bonuses that you get from being a totalitarian state and that sort of thing. So that's one of the reasons I'm going for it. The other is just, it feels kind of weird to have a 20th century Russia that is not communist, is the other reason. But the first thing we need to do is start assigning our divisions, because we need to get a bunch of them on the border with both the Donkuban Union and the Alash Autonomy, as well as sticking a few on Mongolia and Japan. As I said, the Alash have a tendency to declare independence. They basically always do it, in fact. And going after the Donkuban and making them our subject is definitely a good approach to take, at least in my opinion. It's 24 divisions. And then we'll give you a general and start setting up some battle plans. Going to have 2 armies set for each location, if at all possible. So you guys take that one. And of course, we need field marshals. Have Denikin. He can be your field marshal. To 8. Down to 25. You guys. No, he's only able to have 24. We'll unassign the units he can't have in his army. And assign you, like your friend, these 2 armies. Can get ready to attack. Not that we're going to be using this battle plan for a long while, because I have to go through the whole political thing for getting the Soviet Union established first. But I want to get you guys ready to go. 32 divisions. Down to 24. And you guys are going on the Alash Autonomy's border. Soon to be the Alash Order when they decide to fuck us over and declare independence, of course. Now, you're going to need a general. We can't draw offensive lines against them while they're our puppet state, I guess. Sort of makes sense. Even if I would rather we could. Another 24. We'll make them an army. general, and we can offensive line your faces, or assign to border your faces, rather. Let's put Wrangle in charge there. Let's see here. Army 1 and Army 2. Assign Army 2 to him. There, we got them set up like that. Is there anyone over here I haven't got assigned yet? No. Those guys are also assigned. These 16 will just stick on the border with Mongolia. I don't think Mongolia or Japan will try anything this soon, but I'd like to be cautious just in case. There we go. You fellas. Just sit on that border, and we'll assign you to him. There. That's all of our military units assigned. Sorry if this is a little dull at this stage, but, you know, Hearts of Iron. There's a lot of setup at the beginning, like with every Paradox game. We're going to need more military factories, though, to start producing things. We have a lot of production to do, and war-type things. So I'm going to queue up a load of military factories over on the Western Front. The place where we have the most infrastructure for such things. And if by some bizarre coincidence you've come here expecting a naval-focused Russia game, I get to disappoint you, because that's not a thing that will be happening. Naval-focused Russia game will not be happening. End of story. I always play Russia as being purely land-based, because a navy focus as Russia is just going to be bad. Not to mention that we're so far behind in everything that there would be no way to pull that off reasonably, I don't think. I think that's enough building done. We need one rubber, but there's not enough need for that for me to do anything about it. But now, it's time for us to actually unpause the game. So, let's get to this, shall we? Unpause at speed 2. And it's the 1st of January, 1936. I'm not going to spend too much time going over the international political situation in the world of Kaiserreich, though. You'll just kind of have to discover that as things go along. Because that would take a very long time, with how much of the world we'd have to go over. But it is event time. A troubled history. After the October Revolution, anti-Bolshevik forces started to consolidate across the former Russian Empire, leading to a massive rebellion against the Soviet Republic in Siberia, and the Don and Kuban steppes during the middle of 1918. The White Movement made considerable gains but could not defeat the well-placed Russian army, which still dominated the Russian industrial heartland and transportation networks. The war changed when the German Empire, fearing the success of a dangerous ideology, intervened on behalf of the Whites in exchange for the recognition of the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. By January 1920, both Moscow and Petrograd had fallen to the White forces, and a new Russian Republic was established in the former imperial capital. For the past 15 years, the leading political parties, the Social Revolutionaries and Cadets, have governed an uneasy coalition under Kerensky, maintaining their powers through electoral manipulation and a lack of serious political opposition. Today, Russia is becoming increasingly unstable, and other political forces are growing. They consider that it is now time for change so that the country may once again assert its power in the world. Long live Russia, one and indivisible. And we get the event, the Russian Constitution of 1918. Or we get it in a few days anyways. Not the sort of thing that pops up immediately, apparently. Not that I really think many of the events in this game are immediate. Signed in 1918, roughly a year after the fall of Nicholas II. Nicholas II was the last Tsar of Russia before the monarchy was overthrown in the revolution, for those of you not in the know, by the way. The Russian Constitution defines the country's political institutions. The legislative branch consists of the State Duma, elected every 5 years, and the Senate consisting of senior nobles, statesmen, and scholars. And the executive branch is divided into the office of President, elected every 6 years by the Senate, and the Council of Ministers. Apparently, the Constitution guarantees freedom and stability. Sure, you keep thinking that. I'm sure nothing will go wrong and no communists will take over this country. That would just be silly. Why would anyone ever think that would happen? Communists taking over Russia? Don't be silly. The Russian economy. After the end of the Russian Civil War in early 1920, the Kerensky government attempted to recover the economy using a mix of socialist economic theories and the propositions of the Cadets and its supporters among the Russian capitalists. Kerensky recognized the de facto redistribution of land among the Russian peasants and restored private land ownership. Using the gold reserve of the Russian Empire, which during the Civil War was under Kolchak's control and later was transferred to Petrograd, Kerensky introduced a new currency and launched the New Economic Policy, NEP, which allowed him to recover the Tsarist industry, including the military plants, and involve American investments in the various branches of the Russian economy. However, the slowing growth of the economy, as well as the intensification of confrontations between the right and left parts of the Russian establishment, led to the recession in 1933. It is clear that the Russian industry still has great potential, which can strengthen the economy as well as the international position of the country. We should strengthen the economy. Yes, I suppose we should at that. And I should probably warn you guys right now, in this first series, and in this first bit, there is going to be quite a few events and probably not as much action today, just because of the fact that things are going to take a while to kick off, and we have to get through a bunch of early narrative and events to get everything going. It won't take forever or anything, but that's going to be the case in the early game bits for a little while. Just thought I should probably warn you. But here we have the first big event of the game. The assassination of Kerensky, because he dies very early on, as you can see from this. The sound of gunfire rings across the capital. Alexander Kerensky, the president of the Republic of Russia, was shot and killed by an assassin while he was climbing the steps to the Senate House. His killer was shot dead by the military police before he could make his escape. His motives will forever be unknown. Regardless, the fate of Russia has been irrevocably changed, for better or worse. A shout that will ring across the world. That gives us national spirit, political instability. Everything costs us more political power. Our stability and wars, of course, are going down, and the Senate becomes the leader. So we get a new event. And President Kerensky has been assassinated. As the way Russia does its national focus tree is really interesting, because a lot of it isn't unlocked through you actually doing the focuses or anything. It's unlocked by events that happen and shift the way things are going in the country, and that makes things happen the way they're going to. The aftermath of the assassination of Kerensky. The assassination of our long-term president, Alexander Kerensky, has thrown the country into chaos. With the president gone, the governing coalition of cadets and social revolutionaries has collapsed, and four forces look ready to seize control of the broken nation. So we have four choices over who will take power. The left SR Mensheviks secure a majority in the Duma. So essentially one of the actual political parties actually gets voted in. Baron Wrangel declares martial law and dissolves the Duma. A military coup. Kornilov's officers seize the apparatus of state, which from what I can tell is just a different military coup. One with some slightly different modifiers in terms of what buffs and penalties you get. And finally, the Senate elects Grand Duke Dmitry as the new president. I've only actually gone down the Baron Wrangel military coup option once, and I've never done the Kornilov one. The two I'm most familiar with are the left's SR Mensheviks and electing Duke Dmitry. That one will move us down the path of being able to re-establish the Russian Empire. But when it comes to wanting to get the Soviets in power, what I always go for is the left SR Mensheviks securing a majority in the Duma, because that makes it a little bit easier to do that. And it also will make our country a bit more unstable, which, ironically, when it comes to actually letting the Soviets take power, we want the country to be more unstable. That's actually a thing that we want. Because, unless it's been changed, there's a certain event you can get where once your country gets unstable enough, there'll be rioting and everything, and you can actually give the Soviets power straight up without having to wait for being able to do the governmental reforms. So I'm going to try to do that. Here's the event I was talking about. The Alash Orda has just declared independence. We can't do anything about that currently. This will reduce their opinion of us, or is that our opinion of them? I'm not sure. We will see. Yeah, it's our opinion of them, apparently. Reduce that, and we lose 2 stability. So we're now down to 2% stability. And with the decisions I plan to make, that's going to keep dropping. The acting president addresses the Duma. Yeah, can't really be bothered to read that one, honestly. But now we can start setting up battle plans for the Alash. since they've gone and declared their independence. That way, we'll be ready to attack them once the time comes. There. And we've got all our troops moving into position, so they'll be ready for things and everything. And now, we just kind of have to wait at the moment. I'm going to kick us up to the fastest speed just so there's less waiting. But we just gotta kind of stick around and wait for the events to unfold properly. Now it's time to appoint a Prime Minister. The SR Menshevik coalition outmaneuvers all its rivals in the January crisis and have gained an unshakable Duma majority following the submission of the Cadet. Chernov, chief ideologue of the SRs, has been successful in pulling the strings, and it is now time to appoint a Prime Minister. And I am going to go with an option that's a little bit ironic and more than a little amusing, because it's effectively the opposite of what Hitler did to get power in Germany. And we're going to go with, these are extreme times and we need a shot of Bolshevism. And we will appoint Nikolai Bukharin as the head of the Russian government. That will reduce the stability a bunch because it's a bit of a controversial choice. But we have just put one of the last members of the Russian communists in charge of the government. I'm sure this won't have any side effects or anything. So, Boris Sturmer has died. One of Russia's most experienced politicians, Boris Sturmer has passed away due to a heart attack on hearing the news of Kerensky's assassination. Born in 1848, Sturmer was one of the few people in Russia to remember the Crimean War. It was a symbol of Russia's tradition and continuity. Memento Mori.
Готов выдвигаться.
The Totalist Charter. Mussolini, Valois, Beria, and other interested parties arrived in Birmingham today to discuss their common ground. It has been agreed that Marxism, Cyrillianism, and National Syndicalism all share basic principles of the state's primacy in the socialist struggle, the role of national identity within the state, and the importance of a strong central authority to preserve and build socialism. The Charter also claims the socialist state is the final stage of human development, and that democracy is not necessary to achieve socialism. These statements have drawn great criticisms from other socialist factions, and gave it the name totalism, as a play on totalitarian socialism, which had been eagerly adopted by mostly who added it to the manifesto's name, attributing it to their total commitment to socialism. And the actual event thing there said the people must reject these madness, but we're actually interested in going down that sort of governmental path, so I'd really be cheering for them. We have a general strike now across Russia. That's great. And Edward VIII has been crowned as King of Britain. So, to those of you not aware, this Edward VIII is actually the specific Edward who, in our real history, only briefly became King of Britain. He wanted to marry a certain someone. I don't remember the name, but she was an American commoner, and according to some information passed to British intelligence by the CIA, from what I'm aware, was suspected to have some ties to the Nazis. In addition to that, she was also a widower. So it was a little bit controversial. And effectively, the government went to Edward and essentially said, look, you can either be king or you can marry her. So he abdicated, married her, and moved to northern France, if I remember right. Then his younger brother became king. That younger brother being the one we know as King George V. If I'm remembering right, because British monarchs isn't exactly something I know a lot about. But anyways, back to the actual event. George V, the last king of Britain and Ireland... No, it was George VI, is who I was thinking of. George V is the guy who just died. The last king of Great Britain and Ireland to have ruled the home isles themselves has passed away while in exile in Canada. The first Windsor king, his reign shall be remembered with sorrow and sadness, as during it Britain lost both the Welsh Creek and its homeland. The crown was inherited by Edward, Prince of Wales, who now styles himself as Edward VIII. Edward is a vengeful and ambitious man, and not on good terms with Prime Minister Mackenzie King. He lives on the goal of avenging his father and reconquering the British Isles, and thus is quite popular among the British exiles in Canada, among others. Interesting. So yeah, that's one of the major narrative things that you have going on in Kaiserreich, because as a result of both Britain and France being communist, both their governments have fled overseas and are effectively governments in exile. So Canada here is the home of the British royal government that fled from the UK when it got taken over by communists. And the French Republic here in Africa is the same thing for France. But that's what's going on with the Allies. Not that we're likely to have much going on with them. Unless Germany gets their ass kicked and decides to join the Allies or something. Which I have seen happen a few times. All depends on how things play out, really. Oh, fucking hell. Payment of the Brest-Litovsk reparations. This event is so annoying, and it just, even though it's scripted, it just proves how much of a dick Germany is to Russia in this time frame. During the Berlin Conference in November 1935, the Germans forced us to repay the remaining part of the Welsh Creek war indemnities agreed upon in the Brest-Litovsk Treaty in 1918, 1 year earlier than expected. Just put the government in a delicate position. The current budget for 1936 is already stretched to a bare minimum, and if we are to pay the accursed Teutons, the cabinet sees no other alternative than increasing property taxes. Even if the increase in taxes will primarily anger the bourgeoisie, the other cuts in government spending will be most harshly felt in the social services sector, and in many homes of invalided war veterans, depending on the state's support. Our citizens were already disgruntled and dissatisfied with the incumbent coalition of cadets, the social revolutionaries united under the even more unpopular presidency of Alexander Kerensky, and it is feared that these measures will bring still more extreme political groupings onto the political scene. The rich will pay. We lose a lot of stability. We have to commit more factories to consumer goods. Our weekly stability gain goes down by 0.2%, and our factory output goes down by 10%. So we're now negative 53% stability. Lovely. Now, this is not going to go over too well. Definitely not. We're also completely out of manpower. Which reminds me of something that I should be doing. Put all of it into reinforcements and basically none into upgrades. That's basically sucking up all of our manpower currently to reinforce all our divisions, because there's a lot of them that start at pretty low strength. So we gotta deal with that. And my stability is not in a good place right now. Okay. No profits from the legation cities. Following the 1926 German intervention in China and the Treaty of Nanjing, signed in November that year, foreign trade was left to the richest cities of the coast under the joint control of world powers owning interests in China. The independence of this consortium of cities was guaranteed by 8 powers: Australasia, Austria, Canada, Japan, Germany, Japan, the French Republic, Russia, and the USA. Foreign investments and the legation cities themselves flourished, not only through foreign trade, but also thanks to smuggling into whatever the fuck that is, and Qing imperial territories. However, while we are officially part of the Legation Cities Council, we have been unable to gain access to the dividends it should entitle us to. So basically another event telling us how we're getting shafted. And Afghanistan has apparently declared war on India. This is a scripted event, by the way, I'm fairly certain. It literally always happens. Afghanistan always declares war on India, and they pretty much always lose. That might make a nice challenge for some players sometime, to try and play as Afghanistan and win the war. Probably quite difficult, though, seeing as Hearts of Iron doesn't have mercenaries. The Fifth Anglo-Afghani War. After the Weltkrieg, as the British Raj collapsed into turmoil and warfare, the neighboring kingdom of Afghanistan took advantage of this as an opportunity to seize Peshawar and Quetta, both border regions of the Dominion. However, the Afghani government's attempts to modernize over the last decades have been met with fierce resistance from the conservative elements within the country. King Amanullah Khan now hoped to use the turmoil in Delhi following the death of George V to his advantage. By repeating the success of the Fourth Anglo-Afghan War, the king hopes to silence the conservative opposition and bring new lands to the crown. However, international experts do not put many hopes on this tiny mountain nation winning this conflict. And, as it says there, who cares about Afghanistan? We only care about it if I ever end up invading them. Which will probably happen if I ever end up pushing that far south into Asia. Quite frankly, Black Monday. Oh shite. Yeah, Black Monday, those of you not aware, this is the Kaiserreich version of the Great Depression. Only worse. Yep, you heard that right. Worse. The main difference, of course, being that the Black Monday happens in Berlin as opposed to New York City, because Germany is the center of the world economy rather than the United States in the Kaiserreich universe, thanks to their victory in the First World War, which is now called the Weltkrieg. On the 3rd of February 1936, the Berlin Stock Exchange stopped sinking. It plunged. Fueled by the instability of the market panic, selling Okay, let's try that again. Fueled by the instability of the market, panic selling erupted as soon as the stock market opened on Monday morning. It took well into the night for the teleprinters to stop sputtering out the results of what became known as Black Monday. When the results had been analyzed, it was clear that the situation had only got worse. The shock of this unprecedented economic catastrophe no doubt be felt over the entire world. The German Golden Age has ended. For now, at least. Mein Gott! Why are we saying things in German? We hate the Germans. Okay. Negotiating with the strikers. Let's see, we can reorganize the internal police now. That's one of the national focus things that's been unlocked. And this general strike is now expanding. So, that's minus 62 stability. I'm going to actually try and dick over the strikers because, as I said, I'm fairly certain if you get unstable enough, then you can potentially just flip to being Soviet Russia early. An attempt to negotiate with the striking workers has been made. All political forces in the country closely watch the meeting, and some are hoping that the strike will become an impulse for further reforms in Russia. This will reach an agreement, but keep the reforms to the minimum, which is just minus 10% stability. Yes, I am deliberately trying to reduce our stability as much as possible. Even though that does sound dumb, and I'm pretty sure it is dumb. We'll do that. Cerealians elected in France. Essentially, this particular political party has taken power in the Commune of France. It doesn't really affect us, because France is far enough away that we don't care about that much at all. But I suppose it is kind of interesting as to what route the French are going down. That the workers are returning to the factories. That removes the national strike spirit. The capital. Either Russia's historic capitals could become the home of our government. Where should we go? And I'm gonna pick Moscow. We're eventually planning to become Soviet Russia, so the reason for this is twofold. Number one is because Petrograd, being the capital of the old Russian imperial government, isn't really somewhere that is suitable for our capital as a new worker state we're going to be setting up. The second is for strategic reasons. If you look at Petrograd, or St. Petersburg if you prefer, it's quite close by to the German-controlled satellite states in Eastern Europe. So, if we ever end up at war with Germany, then our capital would likely be overrun quite quickly. It's also very close by to the Kingdom of Finland, so if they ever got uppity, we'd have the same problem. So, just for strategic reasons, Moscow is a bit more distant, so we wouldn't have our capital being overrun right away if a war broke out with the Germans or the Finns, is the other reason for that. Revolution! Exclamation mark. The Bolshevik workers are demanding a return to the proletariat and dictatorship. The peasants are seizing lands from the state, and the Internationale is heard once more on the streets of the capital. Bukharin believes can use the situation to end the political crisis and establish a new political situation in Russia. So we have three options. Yes, invite the Soviet leaders to set up a popular front government, which will essentially make us a kind of socialist democracy, I think. No, only the Soviet power will save us now. The Soviet Union essentially takes over all of Russia, and we become the Soviet Union. And why is that Bolshevik in our government? Send him away. This event will cause the Soviets to take over a bit of territory in our western bit, the most industrial region, essentially. They'll grab a bunch of that, and after a series of other events and things, that will lead to a civil war. But as I've said before, I want to set up a Soviet government. I was planning on that, so only Soviet power will save us now. Set base stability to 20, and we become the Soviets. Unfortunately, it unassigns all our divisions, so we have to reassign them, I'm pretty sure. But we are Soviet Russia now. I also have to reset these researches, because we had different research companies, apparently. National focus to set. I don't actually remember which is which. As for what they actually do, but World Revolution, that was the one I always go for, that's right. Soviets, our first national focus is going to be to elect Tukhachevsky's internationalists. I just prefer that one. And that choice is going to make us into not the Soviet Union, not the USSR, but the Soviet Republic. Yes, really. Going to become the Soviet Republic. Now it's time to start working on assigning a bunch of divisions to the right people. We need to get a couple of armies set up first. That Soviet power has been established. We have consolidated Soviet power over the Russian state in a peaceful manner. It removes a bunch of national spirits, and we get the event Bolshevism. I'm going to start working on assigning generals and things now. And setting up our battle plans all over again. I don't know which of these we're going to actually need to use, though. Because, as it happens, the Soviet Union gets a number of options that are effectively staging coups in other countries to take them over. Which is going to turn out very handy. And will enable us to just take over foreign countries more easily, at least with regards to core Russian territory. You don't get anything like that with, say, Germany or Romania, unfortunately. We'll do that. And now I will give you him as your boss. Okay, that's 49 divisions. Get it down to 24. And set them up with a leader for that army group, as well as a leader for the army. And we have the communist music playing in the background. Oh, these Kaiserreich music mods are just such epic backdrops. They're just so excellent. They really are. I'm not sure which... The only drawback for the music mods, honestly, is the fact that a lot of them contain copyrighted music. I'm fairly certain. Meaning, or at least it's the sort of music that tends to get hit with matched third-party content on YouTube and result in stream VOD muted here on Twitch. As a result, it unfortunately means that if you want to see the VODs after the fact for these streams, your best bet is probably YouTube, rather than here on Twitch. And not just because they're higher quality. Now let's finish setting this up. The guys over here won't need anyone nearly as skilled as the others because they're just on border watch duty, essentially. Same with these guys. They're watching the border for me. Okay. You guys have that. One, you. Assigned to him. And now, just get set up there. And all my dockyards and everything are totally clear now. We need to produce artillery as well. There, that ought to do it for us. We have 3 dockyards though, so... I know I had other things building, but for now I'll just have it producing convoys. And I need to requeue all of my buildings. Lovely. I forgot that it did that. Just cleared out all your queues and everything when you switched over to being communist. because of the way it does it in this mod. It's been so long since I've had occasion to play as Soviet Russia that a lot of the things like that I just don't remember. Let's queue up all of this again. And do some infrastructure building in the east. Because as I've come to realize, a lot of these eastern territories have kind of shit infrastructure. Which will result in me getting not only attrition, but stupid slow movement. There we go. I think that's enough infrastructure. And we are up to reasonable stability now, too. I'm going to use the occasion to drop a save as Russia. There. Everyone will get back into their old positions. We still have low manpower because I'm replenishing everyone. But it should creep up eventually. Canada and Afghanistan have made peace. Which Afghanistan there gets to keep existing, but they have to give back the territory they stole from India in that war that I mentioned in the events. Essentially, is what's going on there. And this one I'm not going to bother to read. Effectively, it's just that the Pope died. Do not care about that, quite honestly. Just do not. But we need to redo that now, just in case it makes an actual difference. Speaking of religion, time to decide on the status of the Orthodox Church. It's very important to the masses, but part of our doctrine insists that we have to destroy or significantly weaken religious institutions. So, we have three options. Purge the church from Russia and install state atheism, which was what happened with the historical Soviet Union. They drove the church out of Russia and made everyone be atheist. But that will cost us half our stability, currently. Leave the church alone. A secular state will do. We just lose 3 stability, or Orthodoxy is our state's religion. Very uncharacteristic for a Soviet Union, wouldn't you say? Now, generally you might think the thing to go for would be leave the church alone, because you lose the least amount of stability from that. But the thing with that is, if you go with this, you lose the least stability in the short term, but over time you'll get a lot of events that are things like protests, the patriarch of the Orthodox Church criticizes the government and things, all of which will cost you stability. So you have to decide if you want to take a big stability hit now and get it over with, or deal with the little ones over time. And even though it's going to be a massive stability hit, I'm going to deal with it and just purge the church from Russia now. Even though this might not be the best idea, it's what I'm doing. There we go. No more church in Russia. About 20 days left until our national focus finishes, which will reform the country again. That's nice. And we have 41% popularity as radical socialists. And yes, we get the awesome communist music again. I do love that soundtrack. It's just one of the best parts of this mod. It really is. Australasia. Sorry about that, everyone. I had to deal with some real life stuff. Anyways, democracy's back in Australasia, so all this event is. Some more flavor text, obviously, but I am not going to bother to read that. Maneuvers in the Carpathians. This is interesting. We've got the Iron Guard Romanians essentially engaging in a dick-measuring contest with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. That's what's going on there. My summary took about 3 seconds, whereas reading that would have taken significantly longer. And now, Pope Pius XII has been elected by the papacy. So, that's going on. That's a thing now. For the time being, just sitting on our asses and waiting for things to happen. Having no manpower, I'm not really in a position to attack anyone. And we'll need to get through a couple of these national focuses to get our country established before we can. A new collective is formed. A new labor collective has been formed. Socialist methods of work are being introduced as the capitalist system receives yet another blow. And we gain 2% stability. Yeah, you get a lot of events like that as Soviet Russia where you just get a little stability for some little thing or other that happens. Which is kind of nice. The First International Congress. Delegates from socialist nations and political movements around the world gathered in Paris today for the latest in a series of world congresses. The mantle of the Third International was taken up by the Communards after the Russian Civil War. The ideological tenor of the event promises to be very different, with syndicalist parties being the new dominant force of the far left. Delegates are greeted by a military parade, an exhibition of avant-garde art, and finally a speech by the chairman of the CSP. At the top of the agenda is the spread of the revolution to Asia and North America, ongoing conflict in Spain, policy on colonialism, and the requirements for membership of the Third International's military alliance. What, we didn't get an invitation? We're communists? God, are the French going to be such assholes as to not invite the new communist state to their Let's Talk About Communism party? That would be such a dick move. Then again, it is France, so I don't know why I'm surprised. Our national focus has been completed. Tukhachevsky declares victory in a major public event held in Moscow, attended by socialist revolutionaries and diplomats from all around the world. Newly elected Mikhail Tukhachevsky has promised support for fellow workers attempting to free themselves throughout the world. The new Soviet Republic is the homeland of all workers, he was quoted as saying. From Taiga to the British Sea, the Soviet Republic is the strongest. Tukhachevsky becomes the party leader, the Internationalists become the ruling party, and we get Andrei Panfilov as our Minister of the Interior. Let's see, resistance growth minus 10, stability plus 5, and a bunch of other buffs, including popularity of totalism and base stability. And we have now become Soviet Republic rather than just Soviet Russia. Fortunately, that doesn't make me redo everything. I'm going to save again, just in case things go wrong. I have had a handful of crashes using Kaiserreich in the past, so I prefer to play it safe. Let's see, what do we want to go for next? I could immediately hop into exporting the revolution. Start moving down, getting claims and being able to expand against other nations nearby, specifically ones that used to be part of Russia. I could do that. I could move further down this to get some more bonuses. Right there. Launch naval reorganization. The economic reform trees could be rather interesting. Stability, new building slots, more infrastructure, more factories. And if we get all the way down to the bottom, we can get additional resources, a small bonus to our recruitable population, and a bonus to our production efficiency cap and factory output. All that would be really great to have. Wait a second. I feel like something's missing. The last time I played as the Soviets, I'm sure there was something in their national focus tree about the army. Yet it's not here. Did they take out any sort of bonuses for your military doctrines? That doesn't make a lot of sense, honestly. I'm going to actually take a bit of time for a couple of these focuses before we move into expansion. And I'll go for economic reforms and seizing the means of production. After that, we will move over to exporting the revolution. That's my current plan anyways. Not for now, we just have to sit by and watch things happen. A bit slow going at this stage, but you kind of expect that in the early game with Hearts of Iron. And look at that glorious flag, just glorious. And yes, we are totalists. So, I have essentially gone full-on Big Brother is watching with the whole thing. It's just fucking great that you can do that. The Third Internationale. So maybe the French are going to invite us and they won't just generally be dicks about that. That would be nice. France has gone through with its designs to hold a first Congress of the Third Internationale. And we, as expected, have received an invitation. We'd bloody well better have. it would be foolish not to send a delegation. We can go, it wouldn't be a third international without us. And we just go. Or things are too unstable here in Russia, which will increase our base stability, but decrease France's opinion of us. Of course we're gonna go. Why wouldn't we? Tibet has joined the Great Khanate, so Tibet has allied with Mongolia. That's actually a national focus thing that Mongolia has. They can form an alliance with Tibet. And they are going to start doing a bunch of conquest and expansion in China. I'm eventually going to have to deal with Mongolia, but they're not even on my radar right now. The Dongban Union and the Alash Order here are of more interest to me than fucking Mongolia. We've still got a couple of months on this economic reforms thing. We've got a couple of months to go on that. So for now, we'll just kind of chill and let things happen as the Soviet Republic. I'd like to do at least a little bit of expansion this time around, rather than having to wait till next Saturday for that. But whatever happens, happens, I suppose. And as I said last time, the capital will be at Moscow for the same reasons I expressed then. We get given a little chance there to change our capital, but I'm not gonna. I prefer Moscow as a capital over Leningrad, as it's called when you're Soviet Russia. That's another month and change for the economic reforms. We'll get through that, and then be on our way. My clique has declared war on Mongolia. I forget that happens with this set of national focus things. Mongolia doesn't declare war on them, they declare war on Mongolia. We'll see where that goes. Probably they're going to lose, especially since they've also declared another war. Wow, that's dumb of them. We have now opened a new atheist museum. Museum to State Atheism has been opened in one of our towns. I'll start to help re-educate our society, gain 3% stability. And that's one of the benefits of just getting it out of the way with the religion thing. You get little bonuses like that over time. They're individually rather small, but they add up bit by bit. And we just get little increases from time to time. Electronic mechanical engineering is done. So I will now research this whatever it is thing for the 1918 automatic weapons as my next thing. in that particular slot. About another month to go on starting economic reforms. So we're getting things moving along quite nicely there. I wonder what Austria is going to try to do when it comes time to reform the empire, though. That'll be interesting to see. Because Austria has this one event they get in 1937, where they have to negotiate what the future status of the empire is. And it can go any number of ways. They can try what's essentially annexing the whole empire, and generally the rest of the empire doesn't agree, and especially Hungary doesn't. So, what Oswald Mosley is in charge of the Union of Britain now. So Austria can go a number of different ways. Like I said, they try and annex everything. They divide the empire with Hungary, and the two of them annex everything in equal parts, so it's just ruled by Austria and Hungary, and they get rid of the minority groups having a say in anything. Or they can just try and keep the status quo. And go any number of ways. If their disagreements about it get too out of hand, it can even lead to a civil war in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, depending, of course, on how Germany tends to lean. Things can change because of Germany, of course. Equipment and manpower and stuff are taking a while to deliver for our reinforcements, but still, that should get done in time, I hope. And we have plenty of time before any of the wars we're actually going to end up fighting, so that's also handy. I'm going to start boosting towed artillery and support equipment next, when we get more factories coming in, just to make things easier on us. That national spirit will be done tomorrow, which just gives us decreases to the amount of time it takes to research certain things. So now the question is, do I go further down the industrial tree, or start working towards exporting the revolution? Let's see. Exporting the revolution and the ability to start expanding. And once we unlock these, I think I like that idea. I'm just gonna go straight for exporting the revolution. A lot of the ones down there are quite long, so it will take some time. But still, I think that's the best choice from here. I can come back for the industrial focus things later. Poland falls to syndicalism. Oh yes. A spine in the middle of the Reichspakt. I think that's how you say that. Now all we need is for Ukraine to fall to socialism as well, or go isolationist. Then I can start giving myself a significant advantage. Of course, what is Germany going to be doing about the Polish? What's their relationship going to look like? That's what we need to know. I'm going to need 100 political power for my next move, which is going to be to give ourselves limited conscription, so we can have some manpower, at least. Also, there has been a coup in Siam. That's really all we know at this point. We don't know what's actually taken place, just there was a coup in Siam. That's literally all the information we have on the topic at the moment. And now, I'm just waiting on exporting the revolution to finish, because that'll enable us to start expanding. This is one of the reasons I love playing as Russia. The immediate start is a bit on the slow side, but once you get the ball rolling, you can really just steamroll and start taking over absolutely everything if you play it smart. It's just glorious. Machine tools is done, so I'm going to move on to concentrated industry, so that our factories can give us more stuff. As Russia, with us being where we are, chances are we're not going to end up getting bombed enough for dispersed industry to really be worth it. I only really go for dispersed industry if I'm playing a country that I know for sure is going to be bombed a whole fucking lot. Wallonia has joined them? The fuck? Yeah, I've seen this happen somewhere before, where Flanders and Wallonia break up, and Flanders becomes a Dutch puppet state. But I've never seen Wallonia actually becoming independent. What's going on here? What is going on with Flanders and Wallonia breaking up like that? I'll have to have a look at the patch notes in Wiki later on, but I'm honestly not sure why they do that. Flanders Wallonia just collapses and one half of it becomes a Dutch puppet. I would love to know what the hell is going on there, but I haven't a clue. Really haven't a clue. Another atheist museum opened. I'll take the stability, thank you. And the Netherlands is allied with Germany. So maybe that was part of like an event or focus-based deal with Germany and the Netherlands, where the Netherlands got half of Belgium in exchange for an alliance. I suppose that could kind of make sense. And Germany most definitely is feeling the strain from having France on their border. Communist France, especially. So that would be something that they would be a little uneasy about, and probably inclined to get alliances in exchange for part of their puppet. Projected limits exceeded. Never mind, the factories have exceeded their limits. We get more resource gain efficiency for about a month. Okay, and Manuel Carles assumes full control of Argentina. Apparently, some coup he staged just before the start has been successful, and he's in charge of Argentina now. Great. Yep. And Christian socialists won the election in the Socialist Republic of Italy. The fuck? Christian socialists. That's a thing. Let's hope they don't decide to vote to unite with the two Sicilies or something. I think there's something where they can do that. They just vote to become part of another country. I'm pretty sure it can happen, though I don't see it happening all that often. So, we're getting pretty close to hitting the finish of exporting the revolution. That's a month away now. Or another 30 days, anyhow. Okay. So, the fact that I'm going for exporting the revolution, you can probably guess my plan for the future. Take over the Donkovan Union, take over the Alash Order. Essentially, I just want to roll on into the Caucasus and Central Asia as soon as I'm able to. Not only will it get me more locations to set up some industry, but those regions are parts of the areas that Russia can, after a little bit, reintegrate as core territories. Meaning, since they'll be our cores, we'll get core manpower from them. As opposed to just getting what we would from colony states, which is not much, by the way. I'll take me a light tank for my next research. When the next thing finishes, though, I'm moving on to whatever our land doctrine is. Okay, that's 10 days to go until our current national focus to export the revolution is done. Let's get this over and done with. And then I can start getting ready to expand. And unlike when I am playing as monarchist Russia, we don't have to deal with the inconvenience of Germany blocking us against the Donkovan Union. Or Germany can effectively just tell us, stay out or else, and we won't be able to do anything unless we want to actually go to war with them. Exporting revolution done. Southern expansion next. We'll go after the steppes in the Caucasus. But yes, if you're playing as monarchist or non-communist Russia, you don't have the opportunity to do a coup like we're able to in order to reclaim places like this. And you have to wage war against them. With the exception of, I don't remember if this is in this version of Kaiserreich or the one for Darkest Hour, but there was one where you could essentially talk to the Alash Order somehow, and they would become your puppet state. Or it might have been the Donkovan Union you got that with, but I don't remember what version of the mod it was in. So that may not be here. But other than that, essentially, if you're not communist, you can't use coups to take over, and you have to just invade, conquer, and annex places to get them. Which, this makes it a lot easier. Because even if there's a chance you'll fail, with things like Red Cossacks and Revolution in the Last Order, even if there's a chance you'll fail, there's also a chance you'll succeed. Which is really nice to have the option for stuff like that. What have we got going on here? Less than 50 stability. I could solidify control to improve our party popularity. I'm not even going to bother with those. We'll just increase our stability and everything slowly over time, rather than trying to force the issue. For now, we are 1.5, essentially, national focuses away from nabbing some new territory. So, once we get that, we can start doing some expansionness. That thing is finished. So, we're going to move on to researching land doctrines. And I can never bring myself to use anything but mass assault as Russia, so that's what we're going to go for. Mass assault doctrine. Reinforced rate plus 2%, and minimum training level minus 10%. I don't have the experience to spend to reduce the time, but I'm not really bothered about that, honestly. Making some progress towards southern expansion, that's always good. Concentrated industry is donezo. Now, let's grab that level 1 artillery, just so we can start advancing that a little bit. Random Middle Eastern war between two countries I don't care about, okay? But now, we're going to bump our conscription law up from volunteer only to limited conscription. That will increase the amount of manpower we have available from 1 to 2.5%. And we're now going to get some more manpower that shows up over time that we can use in reinforcing. Which is going to take quite a while to get dealt with. Alright. Towed artillery and support equipment. We're getting out of the way, but it's going to take some time. Now, military factories, we got one more. I'll put another factory into working on that. Southern expansion. We're a month away from and finishing up with southern expansion. Now, once we finish that, that doesn't mean I can immediately go after anyone, because I want to do it through the national focuses rather than by just declaring war. Just because from a narrative perspective, that makes a lot more sense. And what I'm going to go for is Red Cossacks, which will cause us to stage a coup in the Dongquan Union. If it succeeds, then we'll get all their territories for free. If it fails, we'll end up at war with them. So either way, we win, because we either get to conquer them and take their territory, or we get their territory. I had manpower there for a second, and now it's gone. Let's see here. We're moving forward when it comes to making use of our manpower and to reinforce things. 89k now. Remembering the death of Lenin, no picture. Hey, we remember the death of the greatest socialist revolutionary the world has ever seen. V.I. Lenin. Contribution to the cause will never be forgotten. Memorial services are being held all over the Soviet state, as well as in major cities and other socialist states, where millions of workers pay respects to the father of all socialist states. Lenin lived, Lenin lives, Lenin will live. We gain to stability. And our manpower is being siphoned out to reinforce under-strength regiments. Or divisions, or whatever the hell you want to call them. But it's going away to strengthen them. Yeah, as you can see, it's just vanishing. And there goes all that manpower. And we still need quite a bit more to be able to successfully reinforce them up to full strength. It's fortunate, then, is it not, that we should be able to fight a handful of our early wars without needing too much manpower reinforcements. Southern expansion is done, so I'm going to go on to Red Cossacks first, as opposed to Revolutionary Lash Order, even though both are of equal importance, so it doesn't really matter which I pick. But yes, our manpower just disappears as we use it to reinforce. It just goes away and fades from existence so bloody quickly. Now, we're still mobilizing, so we'll have some more manpower to throw into that. And see there, we had about 80,000 manpower available for reinforcing our forces, and now it is just going away as we add it to the reinforcement pool. 2.2k, that's not going to last the month, indeed. Now, we are getting close to having the manpower we're going to require for this. Well, close being a relative term. We're not really close to finishing up reinforcing with our manpower, but it's 177 out of 199, so we're getting close from one perspective. And now we just watch as our manpower is sucked into the black hole that is our reinforcements. Jack Reed, the president of the Combined Syndicates of America, aka the American Communist Party, has become president of the USA. Judging from personal experience with this mod, I can tell you that the rest of America will not like that. Spoiler alert, but we're about to have a second American Civil War. That's going to be a thing soon. So look out for that. Our manpower is looking pretty close to what we need. From a certain point of view, anyways. Production surplus. I'll take that. And our equipment is slowly getting up to what we need with support equipment and towed artillery. Infantry equipment will be a while. We still need 78,000 of that. So, we're not about to get done with that anytime soon. But we're making progress. That's the important thing, isn't it? That we're making progress. Manpower's getting pretty close, though. Like I said, relatively speaking. We still need about 40,000 more, if I'm reading that right. And a month to go until Red Cossacks finishes. At which point we will do some annexation, or some war, depending on how things turn out. I'm hoping for annexation, though I wouldn't mind a nice war. That would make for a change from sitting around waiting for things to happen. But whatever happens, happens, I suppose. Towed artillery might finish sometime soon. Let's see. Looks like our need for manpower has been sated now. Nice. And Mongolia has just grown quite a bit, as has Tibet. Considering that, I don't think it'll be too long before the Mongolians decide they don't need Tibet anymore, break their alliance, and go to war. That tends to be a thing they do, in my experience. Though I would like to be wrong about that, as if they do that, it means they'll grow some more, unfortunately. And I don't want that, if it can all be avoided. Thing is, though, it probably can't be avoided, just because it seems like Mongolia always does that. At the very least, I think we can confirm that Mongolia is a long time from deciding they want to go to war with us. Speaking of manpower, though, since we don't need ours for reinforcement now, we're doing a good job of regaining it. Already up to 150,000 again, with every division having been reinforced with all the manpower. We're still working on infantry equipment, though that will be a while. Support equipment and towed artillery should finish fairly quickly, though, if we're lucky. Which, this is one of those things we'll probably be lucky about that. That's 10 days to go until the Red Cossacks coup gets kicked off. Which I realize I never actually read the event thing for that. I'll get on to reading that once I assign this. Yes. With the stabilization of our motherland, we can now start looking beyond our borders. To the south lies the pseudo-capitalist state, pseudo-capitalist Cossack state even, led by Hetman Krasnov. Soviet Marshal Budonny has petitioned our government to instigate a coup in the Donkovan Union by using his significant influence among the Cossack population. So we offer him our support. Essentially, one of our marshals has some political sway with the local population and is using that to instigate an uprising in our favor that will lead to their new government becoming part of the Soviet Union. And it's only a few days away until we learn what is going to happen. One day away. Let's drop the speed down to 3. Red Cossacks is done. The Donkovan Union falls. And we did indeed get it without a fight. Today, the new hetman of the Donkovan Union, Semyon Budonny, met with our Prime Minister and announced the Donkovan Union will become an integral part of the new Russia. Our citizens are happy that Marshal Budonny has achieved a new victory. Glory to the new Red Cossacks. We gain 5 stability and get the territory. Essentially. As well as a bunch more factories. I'm going to put them all into producing more infantry equipment. Next, after that, we will advance on the Caucasus. See if we can't annex Georgia or Azerbaijan. If I can manage to get both of them, then we can go for Armenia, which has apparently seceded from the Ottoman Empire officially now. As it was before, they start as an Ottoman puppet, but apparently they broke away. I'll have you go do that. You, we can assign to there for your own battle plan to attack those idiots. These 13 divisions I'm going to assign them to our friend over here at Mongolia, just to kind of get those divisions out of the way. And that one can go over there. We have 3 dockyards. I'll put them on to producing convoys for us. We're up to 370,000 manpower now, and I've gained some new territory. I think things are going well for us. The amount of infantry equipment we're bringing in has also gone up a bunch, thanks to that assignment, so we should finish that up in not too much time. And we're also bringing in the towed artillery and support equipment. Hopefully that reinforcement finishes soon. What I'm going to start working on now, though, is researching planes. Even though I don't plan on having a massive, overwhelming focus on air support, we need to have some air support on hand. Just so that when we do eventually end up in a major war, probably against either Germany or France, depending on who wins their conflict. If we do end up in a major war, we want to have the air support to shoot down our enemies' bombers, so they can't use bombers to overcome the numerical advantage that we're undoubtedly going to have. Now I'm going to go back up to 5 speed. And war artillery, check. Also, get me improved machine tools from there. And now I have to wait until Advance on the Caucasus finishes so I can annex these useless tools. Then we'll have the Caucasus, and I can go after Central Asia. That is the plan right now. Attack the Caucasus, crush them, grab Central Asia, and then probably we'll be moving east for the purpose of going after Mongolia and Transimor. But the thing is, when I do eventually go after Transimor, I'm going to have to be a little cautious because in past games, and I'm fairly certain this is meant to be the case, and is fairly likely as well, Japan, if I do manage to successfully annex Transimor, the Japanese have a tendency to declare war on me. Which, I know this will shock you, but declarations of war by the Japanese when you're playing as Russia are not a good thing, as I don't tend to maintain a very large navy, which I would need to be able to invade the Japanese home isles to end that war, which otherwise would be going on perpetually. So, chances are I'll probably leave Transimor alone at first. Hey Foxy, as for what's going on, I am currently waiting for another national focus to finish so that I can kill Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia before doing another national focus, conducting a coup on the Alash Orda, and then killing Turkestan and probably Afghanistan too. Then moving east, probably ignoring Transimur to make it less likely Japan goes to war to me, or with me. Essentially, I am just busy curb stomping all my neighbors as Soviet Russia, is what I'm trying to say here. These territories are all core regions. Just had to check about that. We start with them integrated, apparently. Now, how about down here? I have claims, but those claims aren't cores just yet. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. You bought Hearts of Iron 3 and you understand nothing? Oh, trust me, you're not alone there. I put maybe 15 hours into Hearts of Iron 3 back in the day, and I still don't understand it. It's one of the reasons why I really prefer Hearts of Iron 4. Even though everyone tells me it is, and I'm doing air quotes here, dumbed down. I don't give a crap. I find Hearts of Iron 4 much easier to get into and understand, and there are some parts of it that I like better. And I know this will come as a shock to some people, but I don't really have a preference for a game that I need a PhD in engineered physics to get into, which is what Hearts of Iron 3 seems to be like. So yeah. What happened to Daddy Stalin? This is Kaiserreich. It's an alternate history mod that's set in a scenario where Germany won the First World War. So Stalin, if I remember right, the way this works, Stalin is one of the ministers. Stalin is currently one of the ministers down in Georgia, because Georgia and the Kaiserreich timeline, due to a bunch of secession nonsense with Russia, Georgia broke away from Russia at some point or other, due to Germany invading because, hey, we're not cool with you being communist on our borders, so we're going to invade you and make sure the whites win. So they did that, and I imagine Georgia breaking away was part of that, but I don't really know. Kaiserreich lore is not something that I'm all too familiar with, so I can't give you a lot of the minute details on it. And don't worry about it. I forget half a bazillion things about Kaiserreich lore. I can just bother to remember the big stuff, honestly. Like, Germany won, Canada is where the British royal family hangs out, the French government is in Africa now, stuff like that. And Russia not starting out as communist, though I made sure to fix that quickly because it's too weird to have a 20th century Russia that is not communist, quite frankly, so I had to fix that particular issue. Mass assault research finished. Let's go on to the next one. More out of supply and supply grace. Just keep moving down the mass assault doctrine tree. 7 days until we hit advance on the Caucasus and can declare war on our friends there. Oh, apparently Serbia has crowned themselves a new king. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Austria didn't try and invade Serbia again. Let's see. Serbia officially had a kingdom, but they had a region. A kingdom, but had a regent. Apparently, people are going to be upset by that because of reasons. Also, I'm not sure if you missed this or not, but a communist, aka Jack Reed, was elected President of the United States. So, it's not unlikely that we'll see a second American Civil War soon. America seems to like breaking out into civil war in Kaiserreich, I've noticed. Then again, so does Spain. I'm surprised the Spanish haven't already started their civil war. Are the Spanish going to magically avert civil war? That would be kind of interesting to see. Improved machine tools done. Give me that improved equipment conversion. A day for work? Let's make it a holiday. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Advance on the Caucasus. Done. We'll go with Georgia first. Now that the state of Ban no longer exists, let's choose our stance towards the independent state of Georgia. We can either try to bring them into the fold using the threat of military power, or via more subtle ways of negotiation. Another option is to create an independent military bloc with Georgia. What shall we do? We're going to threaten them, of course. And if they say no, then we will have to force the issue. The Fentian government, aka Manchuria, has just declared war on Japan. Good job, Manchuria. Now go independent on me. Good boy. Standoff in America. Let's see here. President Reed had to flee to Chicago after General Douglas MacArthur forcibly removed him from office. Supporters have declared MacArthur's government illegitimate, and we have a civil war in America. Yep. So, say hello to the Combined Syndicates of America in the north, the American Union State in the south, and the Pacific States of America. The thing with the Pacific States is they don't like the whole MacArthur setting up a dictatorship thing. So they've essentially said they are America, the United States is not America. That's what's going on. I'm not really sure what's up with the American Union State, but the CSA is effectively communist United States. Interestingly enough, they haven't gone to war just yet. I'm sure that'll resolve itself soon enough. Apparently, our threat of force didn't cow the Georgians. God damn it, Germany's guaranteeing Georgia. God darn it. Gosh darn it, Germany. Why did you have to be such a pain in the ass? I do not appreciate this. Cancel that. Revolution in our last order instead. I guess we won't be attacking them just yet. That's annoying. Very annoying. Now, how are you doing for me? We still need 70,000 infantry equipment before we're finished reinforcing. This is taking a while, as you can see. Quite a bit of infantry equipment we will need to deliver. Another 70k. Only 60 support equipment, fortunately, and going down. The random war in the Middle East I don't care about has just ended with one of the participants being annexed. Again, do not care. That matters less to me than Afghanistan, quite honestly. Now, that'll keep happening. I want my revolution in the Alash order. I fucking want it. That way we can take over this, and even if Georgia and Azerbaijan are close to us, for bullshit reasons, I can at least do something about Central Asia. I really should have just gone to war with them. That's kind of embarrassing. But we'll attend the Second International Congress. Okay, sorry about that. Microphone nonsense. As I was saying, the shape of things in America is going to affect how things look in the World War when the next war with Germany comes around, because who wins will affect how things go. If the US federal government somehow wins, then or the Pacific states, probably, they'll most likely just stick to being isolationist and eventually take offense at our expansionism and stuff, and we will end up at odds. The American Union state winning would actually be the worst outcome for us, because they would side with Germany. We would really like the Combined Syndicates of America to win, since the CSA would be most likely to side with us during any European war. Well, us or the Frenchies. The US winning or the Pacific States winning is kind of a neutral outcome because, as I said, they would get kind of pissy at us. But unfortunately, we would end up at odds eventually, but that wouldn't be too bad at first. The second most favorable outcome we could get would be if the Civil War just stayed deadlocked basically forever. And there was no real outcome, and they just kept battering each other forever and ever, and by the time the war came, they were still fighting. That wouldn't be too bad, quite honestly. I wouldn't have anything against that sort of outcome. The revolution in the Alash Order will be... that will be done in a couple of months, so we can take care of them, and then move down to Eat Turkestan. And from there, I'll probably eat Mongolia. Once we get the troops into position. I wish Germany would quit guaranteeing Georgia. I don't like it when Germany guarantees people I want to attack. It's rather a pain in the ass. Let's see. Japan annexed the Fentians. Oh dear. A new collective is formed, okay? Yes, they were annexed by Japan. What's gonna happen now? Yeah, Japan created a puppet state, the Republic of China, to take their place rather than controlling the territory directly. Kind of makes sense, I suppose. They wouldn't want to try and run the place themselves. The Chinese would probably make an issue out of that. So it makes sense to give it over to a puppet government to manage it for you and give them the illusion of independence. We've got about 10 days to go for Revolution in the Lash Order, and to see if that is going to follow through, or if we're going to have to do it through war, and get them to come on our side by invading and annexing them. We will see. Now the only thing we're reinforcing is infantry equipment. Everything else is done. But we still need 60,000 infantry equipment. So that's gonna take a bit. That's for sure. 67, 70, 68. 69. Let's save. I'm not doing this so that I can cheat and restart or anything, but I want to have a save in place just in case things go wrong. Now let's see what the Alash do. Revolution is complete. We'll see what the outcome is now. Because that hasn't been shown just yet. Success or failure on our revolution. We'll seize the means of production for now. As whatever happens, there'll be a bit of time afterwards. We want to wait. Last order. What are you going to do? I don't see anything happening on their particular front. And I'm annoyed by that. If our coup failed, I would like to know about it, please. Come on. Guys. Fucking come on. Revolution was successful. And speaking of revolution, we've got one in Spain. Members of our government are currently in the capital of the Syndicalist Republic of the Alash Order. Vyacheslav Molotov is holding a speech where he states that the Alash Order will become part of the Soviet state. I'll take that, thank you. Two more factories for infantry equipment. Now you guys can get set up on Turkestan's border. And prepare for a war with them. So that will be coming soon. You can set up over there. We'll attack them from both sides. Pincer movements and all that jazz. Now, it gave me some new divisions. It's 14 of them. I'm going to put those 14 somewhere new. Not a particularly important location either. Largely to just get them out of the way for now, because we're going to wait on any attacks on Finland for a while. But I'll stick those troops on the border so they can pretend they're important. That's the plan for the moment, at any rate. Iron Guard Romania has joined the Belgrade Pact. What does that include? Greece, Serbia, and Iron Guard Romania. Going to be attacking either Bulgaria or Austria-Hungary, apparently. Okay, Lash Order is Soviet. we get some stability for that. Now, still a couple of months to seize the means of production. I could, of course, just abandon that and go straight into attacking Turkestan with that particular focus. Perhaps I will, actually. Seize the means of production. That one's not overly important. Syndicalism has spread to the Philippines, apparently, and the Dutch had an election. Yes, we'll just go for war with Turkestan. Get that out of the way and get them conquered. Peru has declared war on Ecuador. Of course. South America in Kaiserreich has a tendency to be a little bit of a clusterfuck, quite honestly. It's one of their most endearing attributes, the fact that everything is completely batshit insane there. Nothing makes sense. Ever. New type of plane researched. Heavy fighter next. Time to move into Central Asia. It's a shame we can't annex Turkestan through a coup, like we could with the last two guys. But I suppose that would make it a little too powerful. Russia is still, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most powerful countries in the game if you play them right. So I can't really complain about them not being strong enough. Now can I? Middle Africa has declared war on Portugal. Great. And Middle Africa, let me just show you, is run by Hermann Goering. We're up to 70% stability now. The last of our forces should be in position shortly. So once we get war with Turkestan focus done, then we can start that war pronto-like. I'm sorry, what's going on? United Kingdom. The Union of Britain has become the United Kingdom. When did that happen? How did that happen? Well, something happened with the Union of Britain that caused them to stop being communist and become the United Kingdom. Which will mean that the communists of France will not have support from the UK, just from the Socialist Republic of Italy. So France beating Germany is going to depend basically entirely on France. We'll see how that goes. But I don't rate their chances too highly, honestly. There. Got everyone in position. And we are going to start moving up our mobilization to get more resource gain. We'll head to early mobilization now. We got more resources and everything. And then I will swap over to partial mobilization once I have the influence. Or political power, rather. I don't know why I tend to call political power influence. I think it's just the fact that I tend to play a lot of Stellaris, and the uses of political power in this game and influence in that are quite similar, so I just sort of equate the two. That's the only thing I can think of as to why I do that. Japan has declared war on Transamur. See, this is a time when it would be nice to be able to move in my own forces and just take Transamur right now, if Japan has declared war on it, but I don't think there's any events that let me do that. Quite unfortunate, I'm sure you'll agree. Another month until we can go to war with Turkestan and make them ours. Should be a fairly short war too. We have about 20-some divisions on both their borders, and they barely have anything. We should just squish them if things go right. Concentrated industry too. We're up to 400,000 manpower, which is not a lot considering we are Russia. But we had to use a lot of it reinforcing our divisions. I'll put upgrades up to normal now as opposed to low. Now, reinforcing support equipment, towed artillery, pretty easily. So, how far off are we? 20 days. Well, 19 if you want to get technical about it. There we go. And the neighbors of the Ottoman Empire are starting to band together in a little pact of, we don't like you Ottomans, we want you out of the Middle East, as I like to call it. That'll be just over another 10 days until we can go to war with Turkestan, which I will do swiftly because I want their territory, damn it. After that, I'm going to take a little bit of downtime from the wars to build up the stuff I've got and work on some of the more industrial focused things that I've been skipping out on because I wanted to expand. Unfortunate that I couldn't grab Georgia or Azerbaijan. Fuck you, Germany. Unfortunate I couldn't do that, but what you gonna do, I suppose. Can't really do anything about it, seeing as we're not in any position to go to war with the Germans just yet. When we are, and Germany is eventually out of the picture, then I will take these two. But before it's not really an option. 1 day left. Annex war goal. Add it, and we'll go for seize the means of production. Go to war. I'll let you two stick with a balanced plan for now. Apparently balanced with these guys over here means don't attack. Oh, it's just their organization being too low to advance. Wow. Somehow I missed that. The guys on this side are making some nice gains, fortunately. Over here, we have to wait until the organization they need to attack, though. Unfortunately. Not gonna raise them to aggressive battle plan or anything. Not anytime soon. Italian Republic joined some alliance or other. Hello, Atheist Museum. Now let's do our attacks. How about all of you attack over there? Just combine your forces and everything. Middle Africa and Portugal made peace. Let me predict that Portugal lost their colonies in Africa. Yep. Goodbye, Portuguese colonies, is what resulted from that. Let's see. You guys can move up there, I guess. We'll just continue on with our attack, as is. %, and climbing. The end climbing being the best part, of course. We'll be taking here soon. Yes, and that is mine now. Attack over there and help them out. Argentina declared war on the Argentinian communists. Is basically what that is. Yes, I think so. And yeah, South America is on fire again, unsurprisingly. To anyone who knows the region, in Kaiserreich, they like to kill each other. They love it, in fact. It's their hobby. Some people like collecting cards or playing board games. South America and Kaiserreich likes murdering each other in droves. God damn it, Transamore was annexed. Have to occupy that soon. The Fourth Balkan War. Great, just what we needed, another goddamn Balkan War. Please, let's not have a world war starting early. I would like that to not be a thing. Okay, well, I think I am going to end it here for now. So, it's been Dark Phoenix Gaming. If you've enjoyed this, then please, you can also check out the other stuff that I produce over on YouTube. You can find a link down in the doobly-doo below, so please check that out. And also, for more stuff like this, Saturday and Sunday around 1 p.m. here on Twitch is where you can find me for that sort of thing. So, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. See you then, folks. See you then.